Whenever you are.
Sign it in. Okay, this is the Waldeboro Select Board meeting of June 9th, 2020. We'll call the meeting to order and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And we have a public hearing regarding the town warrant. Do we want to switch this around a little bit so that these...
Yes, so they don't have to.
Stay here. Is that all right with everybody if we...
Fine with me.
Okay. And would you introduce yourselves, please, and let us know why you're here?
My name is Heather Simmons, and my husband Keith Simmons. We're here for the use of, hopefully the use of Begley and Supporth Field for the Independent Summer Baseball League that's coming, hopefully here. So you just want me to get started?
Well, we were going to make an adjustment to the agenda to have this discussion tonight. It wasn't on the agenda originally. So if...
I would move that.
Sorry?
I would move the adjustment.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. You have the floor, Heather.
Thank you for listening to this plan. Are you guys comfortable if I kind of give you this? So everyone has one? Okay.
We have one, yeah.
Um,
Is this a letter you wrote to Julie?
It's a little bit different. I accidentally hit the send button to Julie before it was actually finished. So
there's probably more.
Yeah. So the biggest, we obviously the high school age group and little league age group lost. Sorry, this is very difficult to speak on the mask. Which I've done before. We've lost their baseball and softball seasons this year. So the high school coach was contacted, but he's not allowed to have any involvement in it due to MPA restrictions right now. So we forwarded it to the parent group to see who was interested in it. And we met with a gentleman from Belfast who's kind of spearheading this 17U baseball group. It's called the Independent Baseball League. And he submitted the same paperwork to Belfast High School. They're actually, that high school and Washington Academy are the only high schools that are actually fields that are being used. MSAD 40 is not going to participate in this yet.
No.
Because the MPA and NFHS restrictions are a lot more, they're not as, they're more restrictive than the CDC guidelines right now. When I had emailed Ms. Kaiser about these, she said if we could make sure that they were adhering to the what the youth activities portion of it, that it might be a possibility, and the insurance company that you guys have would be more likely. So the first part is what the gentleman from Belfast submitted to the Belfast High School and the other places that they're playing right now. Kind of gave us, so we didn't have to reinvent the wheel to give this to our towns. We're not the only town that, well, Waldeboro is fortunate that we have a baseball facility that is not attached to the school. Most towns do not have the luxury of having a baseball field that the town actually owns. So this is what they had submitted. And this COVID waiver is actually from the AYSSA insurance company. It's not anything that we've drafted.
Okay, good. That was one of my questions.
Yeah, we didn't draft this by our own. I did have my friend who is a lawyer in Arizona look over this just to see. You know, I'm also worried about my own risk and my husband's risk, you know, getting sued. And also on the AYSSA, I obviously don't have an insurance binder because I haven't purchased the policy
You haven't
yet.
purchased it because you want approval first,
Right.
which makes sense.
So if you guys, I did send a link to that,
Yep.
and you can add an additional insured, which we could do the town of Waldeboro on that, if that would make you, yes.
the question I have regarding the insurance, if I've read it correctly, is that it covers you if it covers a facility that you rent. So I would assume that if there were something that went wrong at our facility and you're not renting it from us, the insurer would claim that you're not covered and that the town isn't covered. So I'm just wondering whether, as a formality, we could put together a very simple agreement saying that we're renting these fields to you for X number of weeks for a nominal rent of $1 or whatever it is, just to ensure that we're complying with the requirements of that policy and that we're not operating outside of its limits.
We absolutely can do that. That would be, I wouldn't see that as a problem. But I just wanted to go through the thing that you had sent me from the CDC to see how we're gonna be complying. And I also went to the Aspen Institute Project Play, which they have a lot of good checklists from the CDC that I printed off that we can definitely laminate and leave at the field. Just so we have listed in that packet along with the facility plan. This is the COVID waiver from the insurance company. And the last page would be the letter to the parents that would be plain. But if you guys wanted to see these, I thought these were helpful to make sure that we're complying, and then I'll go over how each of those are being addressed in our facility plan. So the first one is risk of virus transmission decreases in the outside environment. While we're playing outside, that's a good thing. So it's not an indoor activity, so there's not a significant increased risk exposure to respiratory droplets in the shared airspace. The second point in here is youth activities require adult supervision to ensure careful attention to mitigation strategies. Obviously, we have coaches and parents will be present. So in the third one, coaches, volunteers, leaders, and athletes must stay home if they are feeling ill or have any symptoms of COVID-19. And I feel that that is addressed in the facility plan number 1 and 2, which is the thermometer will be available at all games. And if any player, coach, or support staff does not feel well, stay home or immediately go home. So we can stop it as we are scanning the kids before every game. The fourth one, spectators must maintain 6 feet of physical distance between themselves and other spectators, as well as players. An additional 6-foot marker will be in place from the out of bounds line to keep spectators 6 feet away. When we had our Zoom meeting with the gentleman from Belfast, those fields were gonna do an additional orange line or white line from the out of play boundary line, so that spectators were made aware that you have to stay 6 feet from here and back. Cleaning and disinfection of equipment and other shared items is a challenging consideration. Shared items and common touch items present opportunities for viral transmission. In the facility plan number 3, 5, 6, and 7, and the game ball situation and post-play game procedures all address how we're going to keep with the CDC recommendations here. So number 3 says hand sanitizer will be in all dugouts and players will sanitize coming in to the dugouts between innings. No sharing of equipment and water bottles are not to be left unattended or left open. Players will be encouraged to bring their own batting helmet. If they do not bring one, a helmet will be assigned a player for the game. Catchers will provide their own gear. If anyone uses a team catcher's gear, no other player will use the gear for that day. Obviously, we'll sanitize the equipment in between games. And number 6 here, hand hygiene is most important mitigation strategy. Yet many sports activities occur in locations without restroom facilities for hand washing. Hand sanitizer with a minimum of 60% alcohol content should be used frequently. Number 3 is that we're going to have hand sanitizer for the team. Number 7 in this says individuals participating in group sports should not share any food items or beverage. And number 5 or 6, where we've already addressed that we're not going to be sharing. And we've also gotten rid of the sunflower seeds that are very popular, so they won't be spitting those out. Transportation to and from sport activities require attention to physical distancing. Carpooling with individuals from different households is not recommended. And then there's a thing in here about buses. We're not busing any students or athletes. And in the parent letter, I took that directly from here and put it into the parent letter. We're discouraging any carpooling. It addresses transportation in here. And number 9 in here says, oftentimes restroom facilities without running water, such as portable toilets, which I believe is at Begley Field now, or they are in the past. They've been there.
They are not there now. That's the other issue we would have.
Okay.
Is
So,
we'd have to get one of those.
Typically, they do have hand sanitizer in those now, but we've also placed that, and we can put it wherever that we're encouraging families and spectators to bring their own hand sanitizer to the facility. And for contacting, and number 10, for contacting tracing purposes to the extent practicable, team leaders should maintain a record, including contact information for athletes and coaches who have direct prolonged interaction. We get those through the rosters and contact information. We have the contacts for individual teams. Any person that's put on the roster that we playing in that game. If we had a COVID incident, that we could contact each of the teams. If a COVID outbreak did ever happen in any of these leagues, in the season, we'll see. Still, there will be no season. So, I mean, I felt like this was a good start. If there's something that we need, or if you have more questions to adhere to the youth activities from the CDC, if there's something more in detail that you think that we need to address.
As long as you're complying with the phase 2 community sports. The only other issue is the bathroom.
I get something about that. How long is your season gonna be?
It's from June 24th. It's about a month, and then there's 2 weeks of playoffs, but they don't know where the playoffs are going to be, so that would be
14 games.
It's 14
So we need
games.
it for practices.
What
And
I was
practice.
thinking is, if, the way Bob said, is if we don't plan on putting porta potties out there, correct? If we're not
No,
gonna,
but that's part of the agreement they would
well,
need.
but what I'm thinking is, maybe we can rent it to them for what the cost of the porta potties are. And that covers the cost of the porta potties, and you guys get to use the field. Is that
Good idea.
reasonable?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So say it'd probably be a 2-month long event, so I think they're what, $90 a month?
That's doable on
Okay,
our end.
that's fine with me. We just have to put it's you use it at your own risk. You
Yeah.
have to be posted,
Yes.
because it's going to be difficult to keep clean.
Do you have any ideas about how many kids are gonna participate in this?
And these are older kids, right?
We are in hopes to get, so this independent baseball league is just use of Begley Field. The age group is 13 to 17 years old. You're only, per the insurance policy, you're only allowed up to 15 kids on each team. So 15 and possibly 2 coaches, so it's 17 people possibly.
Right, but the ages of the kids, these are older kids.
Older kids, yes. Madomic Valley Little League Group, right now Union, the town of Union has already agreed for them to start using their field. They're the only Madomic Valley Little League. We were in hopes to try to use the Sioux Fork end of it too, for the 9 through 12 group. With the same recommendations, I just wasn't gonna.
And I just need to say this because Marcus, I spent the day with Marcus at the food pantry, is that the fields have been touched at all this year. So they're not going to be to the standard that we didn't do there's a special infield sand they use, have not been done.
Obviously, any like lime paint spray, whatever they use, what is it? Is it spray paint for the lines? That's covered, that'll be covered by.
Yeah, no, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to let you know that he
Yeah,
said,
on the third base line, he dug it up and took care of something last fall.
yeah, but there's no, like, normally every year he top dresses it with a
Turfus.
special type of
Turfus.
turfus. Yes, it hasn't been done.
Okay,
Just
Yeah, he usually orders it for Friendship too, so I haven't received it, and
Yeah, and
I believe there's
it's,
still some.
yeah, it's just, none of that has been done because we're in such turmoil.
Two, the concession stand will not be open
Right, no,
either.
we
There
can't.
won't be any concessions at this.
No, we couldn't allow that.
Right.
And could you remind me once again how you intend to handle the public that comes to watch these games?
Public is gonna be encouraged to stay in their vehicles as much as they can. Begley has better, visual for, cause the Sioux Fork side is, you're kind of like in that smaller parking lot, but Begley you can park around the field. They are going to do the, where it's considered groups of 50, the other towns right now have told us that the groups of 50 means 50 people inside the field, and you can do 50 people outside on the right-hand side, and 50 people on the left-hand side. And it will be up to the coaches to make sure that if they're not staying in their vehicles, that we have marked off spaces that are 6 feet apart. I'm not sure if I haven't been out there to measure how many places we can fit on the bleachers that are available out there right now. But they're encouraging them to follow the recommendations of the state.
Well, it's risky. It is. I mean, we don't have very many cases in Lincoln County, that's for sure. Less than 5, I've heard of 1, actually. Maybe a couple more. And people are generally responsible about respecting distances and respecting their neighbors and people they're with. But it is a risk, albeit I think a very small one. But.
I mean, just in my opinion, like there's a risk of going to the grocery store or going anywhere where there's going to be common people. The parents are the ones that are reaching out to us saying we want to play,
Right.
And they know that if there's violations or someone comes down and say, nope, there's too many people, that this could all be taken away, because the most important thing is keeping everyone safe. And there is obviously some more apparent risk than your child sitting home in front of a, PlayStation if they're going to be out and about. But it's also good mentally for all these kids to be doing something more physical than staying at home. They've had a lot taken away from them already, and we're just trying to make something happen for them. And I also feel like if we can do this successfully, the town of Waldoboro, wherever you guys should have gotten a list of other towns that are going to be participating. I believe Camden is participating in this at the Mark Jones facility. It may give the MPA a good kind of platform to say, okay, they successfully participated in this with minimal amount of risk. I think it might be a good stepping stone for sports to come back to the high school level, the middle school level, if we can do this successfully. There's no guarantees. There may be a COVID case that comes up, and we're hoping that's not the case, but like I said, you're just as likely, I believe, to get from the grocery store. They are going to be sanitizing all of the surfaces where they're touching, as far as the posts and stuff around the dugout. If there's something else that we could do to be more compliant in your thoughts as far as the spectator issue, we're open up for suggestions.
As long as they're following the guidelines. That's,
I have a question. How are you going to deal with the distancing in the dugout?
So the dugout, when the team is on the field, that's not so much of an issue.
Right,
There may be
right.
a few kids left
Right.
in there. So they would be standing in between the dugout and the out of play line. The kids that can't be in, let's say they're not up to bat next. I assume, is that how you anticipated it, that we can?
Extend the dugout beyond the fence. Yeah.
So it's not just a physical dugout.
Okay, so you're gonna,
virtual dugout.
right, because that's
that's one
putting
of the
15
things.
kids in that dugout.
They said that's
Yeah.
part of the guidance.
Okay,
9 of them are gonna be on the field anyway, so,
well,
and there's only the.
right, but
people
when
that are
they're up to bat, there are a lot of kids in the dugout. So that's good, it's good. I was just curious, I
So
figured.
just so we're all on the same page, because I feel the need, I have to say it, not that I necessarily agree with everything I have to say, but this is a phase 2. We're still in phase 2.
Mhm.
And phase 2, the guidance that we've got from Maine is that to this end, travel teams or scrimmages between teams in the same community are strongly discouraged. So that's not a no, it just says they're discouraged. So just that, that's our only.
Yeah, I read that.
That's my only
Yeah.
thing I felt the need that I had to make you aware of before you make your decision.
And you're starting like the 24th of June,
They're starting the 24th.
and we go
Well,
into
that's
phase,
games,
Oh.
projected game days.
Okay.
So obviously, the town of Waldeboro's had enough interest that we've been able to create 2 teams. So there won't be 15 kids on each team, it's going to be more like
12 or 13.
12 or 13
Gotcha.
kids.
So when would the games in Waldeboro start?
Well, we're kind of in limbo right now, because we
We need to
said-
find out if we have access to the field.
If you have access to the fields anyway, you can make your first games after July 1st.
when we're in phase 3.
We could check into that. He's planning to make a schedule by June 15th.
Okay. That would be optimal
okay.
if we could. Because then you could technically,
Practices.
practices would be
before.
under phase 2.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel for you. I can't
Yeah,
even
I mean-
imagine being the parent of somebody whose kids have looked forward to their season and not get it.
Yeah, I mean, I worry if we don't, I don't know what the school situation's gonna be. I have a sister who's a guidance counselor at the high school, and some of the stuff kind of coming through and being thrown out, I worry that they're gonna end up losing fall, and we're gonna be a year into this and be back at baseball season come March 2021 with students not doing anything active. You know, they're talking about getting rid of physical education, getting rid of music because of droplets. Now, you can make the argument for anything if you wanted to, you know, like this is some different times that we live in. It's just, in my opinion, like, how are we going to live with it versus, is this gonna be the new normal for everything? Like, it's really unfortunate.
It is.
We really would like your support. We have a beautiful facility in Waldeboro, and I would like I said, we're just in limbo. If we can make it July 1st, great. There's a place to play in Belfast right now, and we can
And this-
accommodate that.
Just because of the cuts we had to make with recreation, this offers an
There's
avenue,
some balance, yep.
some balance.
I commend you for all the organization and everything that you've done. And I know that you guys have done really good things for the town of Friendship, I know the middle school, for the whole football. Remember the football, when they started and continued, and for the high school and all the time that you put in for our children. So I commend you for doing that, and this is quite a project during these times to do this.
Do you guys think you can live with the July 1st?
We'll check.
You think?
Yeah, I don't see, like, we're not the person that's making the schedule, but if that's the recommendation, and something's better than nothing for sure. And
Yeah. But I mean, still have practices before that.
yeah, I mean, I think if definitely a place to practice is the first thing. We need to be able to practice and prepare for games, and that's a much smaller group.
Just coordinate that with Marcus, not that he can help so much, but he can make sure that everything's mowed. Because that's where he
He's
is,
the
he's in
mower.
Public Works now. By the way, the signs have to come down because he's mowing
Again?
here tomorrow, yes.
Oh, we just took him down. When did we take it? Friday? Boy.
Well, he's
he
mowing
mows a
again
lot.
tomorrow, but yeah. So I just think that at least it offers them something, even though it's not sponsored by the town recreation department.
Yeah, I support what you're doing. I am concerned about kids having older folks at home, and they're not a high-risk population, these kids are not.
Right.
But they may have people at home who are, so they're gonna have to be careful about how they handle things, and
That's a parenting
Well,
decision.
I think it's a
Yep.
parent issue,
parenting,
not
yeah.
a.
It's a parenting decision.
right, I agree.
Not too many 15-years have 70-year-olds.
We're not,
Yep, yep.
we're not trying to grasp at straws for kids. I mean, we've been having Oceanside kids reach out to us, Lincoln Academy kids, because they don't have any place to go.
Right.
So, I think the parents that are here know that there is gonna be some risk associated, but
Yep.
they're just, as we are, like, willing to take the responsibility for that.
Is there a motion? Is there, Clay, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I just like to say, everything's safe. I think it's an excellent idea. We need to utilize these fields, I think it's good, and I commend you for all of your work. That's excellent.
Have you gotten your new phone book?
I
I have.
just got it. The girls are on there, yeah.
I
Beautiful.
didn't know if they have lovely nieces and nephews. These are 3 of the nieces.
So if we made a motion, would we make it so that the group would be renting the fields from us?
Yep. And they would have a first game after July 1st or on July 1st?
Yep.
Just to interject, you do want us to add the town of Waldeboro into the insurance?
Yes, if you
Okay.
could, that would be good.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that
Okay.
the group, I don't know if you've got a special name for your group? No?
Wait, no, I don't even know, like, if we're gonna even have, like, uniforms. It might just be like the blue team and the red
Okay.
team, I don't know.
So how would we?
It is referred to as a summer independent
Yes.
baseball league.
Okay,
So we
so the Summer Independent Baseball League will add Waldeboro to their insurance plan. They will rent the fields for 2 months for, what's it?
The cost of the
The cost of the porta potties. So we're covered there through our insurance,
Yep.
their insurance.
We'll get you the nicer ones, not what we
And-
gave you down at the landing.
They will not start playing games until July 1st, but can practice pre-July 1st.
And they'll abide by the
And they'll abide by
rules
the
they themselves put
CDC
forward
rules.
And the state of Maine.
and the state of Maine.
Second.
Second.
Beat you.
Any further discussion or concerns? Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Golden?
Thank you. It was much easier for them to do
Oh, absolutely.
email back. I'm like,
Absolutely.
just come to the
Absolutely.
meeting.
Thank you very much for
Thank you
your
very
time.
much.
Have a good night.
Is this door okay?
Go, be free.
Okay, thank you.
You don't have to sit through our boringness, although I think we're very exciting.
Okay, next item on the agenda. We'll go back to where we started before and do the public hearing on the town meeting warrant. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. And I guess we need to, last year, I think, Julie, you actually read through the town warrant. And it took a long time to do.
Yeah, and there's nothing that says we have to do
No,
that.
absolutely not.
There's nobody here to.
And there's,
Well, there's, we
yeah, it
probably
is.
have Alex at least.
No, I think Ruben probably the more consistent person who watches all these meetings.
Alex
Oh.
and Ruben.
it has been posted.
Yes. It's
People have
been
able to see
posted
it.
all over town,
Yeah.
but not that anybody can get in anywhere.
Yeah, right,
Not that
yeah.
anybody can get anywhere to see it. I posted it in some unique places this time, like Maritime Farms, Dunkin' Donuts, but you gotta go where people are going because it's so limited, the post
What's the
office.
one, don't we have a couple items at the very end?
I was gonna
Okay.
go over those special ones.
Right, that, I would just recommend that we
Right.
go over those special
So
ones.
just so people can understand, we have, I'll give you the highlights. Woo! The highlights are we have 4 people running for 2 seats on the select board. We have 2 people on the ballot for SAD 40 Board of Directors. The Utility District Board of Trustees needs 2 people. They'll have to be write-ins because nobody put in for those positions. And the other big thing is we need 3 write-ins for the Budget Committee. So that's pretty big. And everybody should want to be on the Budget Committee because it's so much fun. we have our typical articles, and I'll just go over really briefly the budget, and I thought the way we could handle all the budget articles was to explain that the budget we adopted, that we approved, not adopted, but approved in March, looks significantly different now, and the select board and the budget committee came back and made significant cuts, and the revenue was $480,995, and that was what we estimated the revenue loss at, and that's including anticipated decrease in obviously revenue sharing from the state, and also EMS and excise. So, that's all a guess game. We're going with the best information we have, and just as a sideline, I had a long conversation today with Steve Nolan from the school. Just yesterday, they got guidance basically saying, anticipate your revenue, and yet we're getting guidance from MMA, and if you read the latest from the state treasurer's office about April revenues, and then, we'll know more in May, and what to anticipate, it's significantly different. So, it is up in the air. I also attended a Zoom managers meeting, because we're Zoomy now, and we did hear from representatives from Senator Collins and Senator King's office that they are pushing very much for towns to get help. What that will look like, if it will ever come true, who knows? I'm not banking on it. So that's what we did with the revenues, and I think that was the right thing to do, to take those numbers down. And then we cut $458,818 from the budget. And as everybody knows, because this is my mantra, it included reduction of hours. We also eliminated some positions. And we're delaying hiring. There's no 53rd pay week because we went to the bi-weekly payroll. And we did take money away from some of the social service agencies. And if they receive federal funding through the COVID-19, if you recall, that was kind of our litmus test for that. We did reinstate some hours in recreation, and that's about it. And we did reduce items in capital funding. So that's where we are with the budget. The exciting questions, there's two that are unusual, and they would be Article Hold on, I had it. 32. Shall the town vote to prohibit the purchase, sale, and use, but not the possession of consumer fireworks within the town of Waldoboro, with the exception of special events as approved by the town, by the select board? So what that basically says is, this is easy, this made it easy. So if you vote yes, you're voting to prohibit the purchase, sale, and use. If you vote no, you're not going to prohibit the purchase, sale, and use. So that is much clearer than what we had in the past. Also, Article 33, this is, shall the town vote to amend the shellfish management ordinance to establish penalties for disturbing, altering, destroying, or in any manner handling conservation gear placed in service by the town of Waldoboro?
Yes.
Okay. So again, a very simple yes and no answer. So that's kind of where we're at. Everything else is stuff you've seen before. Another fun one that we always get questions about is Article 44 about authorizing the select board to notify the commissioner of the Department of Marine Resources that we do wish to exercise our rights to harvest alewives in the Madomic River. I knew that would get Clint going in Abden. So that's pretty much, it's, everything else is pretty much straightforward. We did add a little bit more each year. We're adding a little bit more to the ballot about the employees, whether they're shared, what is taxpayer money, what isn't, because the Shellfish Committee is licensing fees. The only other thing I want to point out is that your ballot for the RSU 40 and the school budget is going to look significantly different. In the past, you've had a yes and no, very simple. Would you vote yes for the budget, essentially yes or no? It's now 5 questions, and there's large numbers associated with those. So people might be a little confused because they've never seen this before, but this is what they had to do based on the governor's last order. So it will look different. So the good news is the ballot went to proof. I got the proof Saturday afternoon. Friday is when all this guidance came out from the governor's office to the schools, and I had to have the ballot back by 6 o'clock last night from proofing. So the ballots are ordered. We are in. So we should be getting our ballots in the state sometime mid-June, and I know we're almost at mid-June. So although you've applied for your absentee ballot, you haven't gotten your ballot yet because we haven't been able to mail them out because it's still being printed. So we're in the process of printing. I consulted with the Secretary of State about how many absentee ballots to order because we have a lot that have already requested them. So we're on our way, and we have enough envelopes. I found that out today too, so I'm really happy. So we have enough envelopes to mail everything. I don't have to order them, but I was getting a little bit nervous about that. So that's where we're at. Does anybody have any questions, Max, that you can see online?
Nope, pretty quiet.
Pretty quiet?
Pretty quiet.
I would just add, and to reinforce what you said about absentee ballots, I hope people vote absentee. It will make the process a lot easier and reduce the risks to everybody and allow you to vote at home in peace and quiet and figure things out where you have time. You don't have to be in a voting booth where you are pressured for time. So that's my 2 cents.
All done. Yep.
I'll add on to that as of today, I believe there have been 230 people asking for an absentee ballot.
Correct.
Can we drop them off in the box out front?
We are waiting for guidance. That's an excellent question. We are waiting for guidance because they do have to be secure where you drop them.
Right.
So we are waiting for guidance on that. And at a Zoom meeting on Friday with other town managers, a very smart town manager said that because we're anticipating the mask issue, because we're going to have people ask them to wear masks to vote. And we're anticipating that people will not be happy about that. So that was brought up numerous times during our meeting, and we have, through the MMA, requested guidance on that from the state. And could we then say, well, if you do not, because what's happening is if somebody comes in and they're not wearing a mask, and then we have to clean everybody out for them to vote, and then clean everything, it's going to delay things. So the suggestion was, can we then offer people who don't want to wear a mask an absentee ballot and let them vote it in their car? So that was something that everybody is thinking about, especially a lot of the clerks and town managers. So that request went further up the food chain. So actually it was Jay Filer from Union who actually suggested that. And everybody's like, oh, we hadn't thought about that. Because there will be issues.
Yep.
There's no way around it.
Speaks in favor of voting absentee.
Right.
Getting your request.
And it's, Max or I or Tanya are talking to people who are calling, and Tanya knows everybody. And then there's with the electronic request you can do. So, when Max and I are in the system, the CVR system every day, working on it, updating it. So we're excited. It's actually been very challenging at times. I cannot say enough though about Julie Flynn and Deidre and a couple of, not Deidre, I can't think of her name now. Of course, I'm giving her praise. But everybody at the elections office has been phenomenal.
That's good.
So if Max and I call, we get our answers. They've been great.
If you watch the news today, apparently they voted in Georgia and it was a real chaotic, long lines, long times. So.
And I think we can, Daryl and I talked a little bit about it because, you know, he does all the setup, is that if we utilize both the EMS bay and the fire bay, we'll be able to move people. And if you're a couple coming in to vote, we can put you at the same voting booth, you know, but we can't put strangers, you know, so we'll work through it. I think, you know, polls will still be open. Absentee is easy, you know, do what you want to do what makes you happy, but just be aware that we're doing it.
Just vote.
Yeah.
Just vote.
Any other comments? Anything, Max?
No?
No
Been
comments?
quiet.
Okay, then I guess we can close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to place the warrant, the articles on the town warrant for the election on June 14th, 2020 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have no presentations tonight. We've already made the adjustments to the agenda. Citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens' comments, Max?
Check my email.
Okay. Select board comments. Kate,
I'm all set.
you're all set.
I am too.
Okay, Jan?
Yeah, I do.
Surprise.
Well, they're nice things, good things that go on in town. I think that our educators have done really well this year. Heather Webster, who is an English teacher and drama coach at the high school, is the Lincoln County Teacher of the Year. Libby Winslow, who is an art teacher at the middle school, is the Maine Art Education Association's Middle Level Art Educator of the Year. And Mr. Lash is a science teacher, Neil Lash, science teacher, and the Heirloom Seed Project founder, this is a mouthful here, Maine Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association, Lawrence Laree, if I said that right, Local Distinguished Service Award was presented. So we've had 3 teachers in our school district with special awards this spring, just this spring.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it is good. It's good news.
Anything else? Okay, I've got a couple things I need to talk about. One is an update on the Municipal Review Committee. There's been a major development there. Coastal Resources of Maine, which operates the facility where we bring our trash, has been declared in default by the MRC. They have not paid bills that they monies that they owe. It all harks back to issues between Fiberite, which owns the technology and was the force behind setting up of the facility, and the bondholders. The MRC is acting very promptly to defend and to look after the needs of its 150 municipal members. There's going to be no interruption in the flow of solid waste. It'll continue as usual. And the hope is that within 30 to 60 days, this whole situation will be resolved. So that's that. I had a couple of things to say about the school budget, and it kind of follows on what Julie said. I wish the school committee, budget committee, and the board of directors had handled their approach to their budget the way the town of Waldoboro handled its approach to the budget. The budget, as it will be put to the voters, assumes the same level of state support, and I believe that number is around $11 million. That money is going to be there, and all indications are that that's just not going to happen. State revenues have taken a hit. There's not as much money coming in from sales taxes. Corporate income tax money coming in is going to be far lower than it has been in the past, all because of COVID-19. And what we did as a town was look where we could make some cuts. In a sense, we used it as an opportunity to make the town more efficient. And we cut about $473,000 out of the budget. The school district has the same opportunity, and it's not using it. And it should be using it. So my personal position on this school budget is gonna be to vote no. I believe we need the board, the school board, to come back and re-examine what they've done in light of current developments. The budget that's before us now was passed on April 16th. A lot has happened during the intervening 6 weeks. By the time we go to the polls, there will be a lot more information available. And I think given that situation, we ought to ask the school board to reconsider by voting no on the budget. So that's my 2 cents. And that's all I have to say. Julie?
I have one thing, Bob.
Yep, sorry, Clint.
And probably Julie's going to talk about it. The Madomic House a little bit, and just
No, you
talking
do it.
about the food pantry a little bit. We was walking on the road down here, and one of the ladies sent a $500 check to the food pantry. It was it was amazing, you know. But I'll just leave it at that. But I'd like to know a little bit about the Madomic House.
Okay, so we had food pantry today. Last week we saw a little bit of a dip, so we thought, okay, our curve is going down, but it went back up this week. So we fed 116 families.
Wow.
And since we've been involved in this from, I think our first one was in April. Yeah, it was in April, I believe, all the way through. We've Lou had to do his last monthly report, and we served over 900 individual families, unique families. So 900 families were fed. And I have to tell you, I think that number's spot on, because that would coincide with where our poverty level is right now, based on estimations. So I think it's a very valid number and a good indicator. So the food pantry that we've been doing, the drive-through, the food pantry will be continuing, and Clint brought up the Madomic House. That would appear to be where they will be relocating to.
That's a great spot.
It's a great spot.
Where is it?
It's on Friendship Street, across from
Friendship Street School.
Friendship Street School, almost. They used to sell yarn there, I believe.
Epic Yarn.
Epic Yarn. Well, now it's an Epic food pantry. So the owners are just lovely people who wanted to do good for the town. And I gotta tell you, there's so many new faces at the food pantry. Today we had more volunteers. And it's good because our numbers are going, dwindling a little bit, and they're coming in. So it's great. We had 1 bag of food left over today.
Oh,
That's
good.
We were,
That was good.
We only had 1 bag of food left over today. So I do think that that's great. And the other thing I just want to put out there is that how incredibly proud we all should be of our staff, our EMS staff. We had, Chief John Lash is out there now. He's been there every week consistently. Nate packing food. So every department, EMS, fire, police, Daryl's over there. It's just been such a great thing. And I think it's something that we all enjoy. So our theory was today, and we had talked about this last Thursday at our food pantry meeting, that, come July, we would morph over there. But a lot of the firemen thought that there's 5 Tuesdays in June. The last Tuesday in June, perhaps move it to the new location, and that way all of our volunteers can be there and move everything and help. And so it's just been very uplifting.
This
very
facility's a
echoey.
lot bigger too.
This
than what they
facility is bigger than this room,
have,
that they're-
Which is awesome.
which is awesome because you really do need a lot of room to pack those bags, because you have to figure that each bag, it's 400 bags by the time you're done. And we've tried to consolidate and put like meat and vegetables together, so that we don't use as many bags, but it's, and you never know week to week. So last week there was a lot of 1 and 2 member families, and this week I was like, okay, so now I know how many milks to buy that are the small milks. And then what happens? Every 5, 6, 7, 8 person family shows up in the first 20 minutes of the food pantry. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you how popular it is. We had somebody waiting from 10:30 this morning,
Wow.
Oh, my
first in line.
goodness. Wow.
And it's just, but when I heard the number 900 unique families, that just spoke volumes.
Good job.
And
So,
the new site has a circular traffic pattern. So
Right.
you don't have to go up and go by and turn around and come back out. You just follow the circle
Right.
around and come back down the hill
right.
a little further up the road.
And I think the food pantry too have realized about the drive-through. They have it pre-packed, they don't have to, it's
Yeah.
much faster,
It's much
more
faster.
efficient, more efficient.
And honestly, the canned goods, you could even pack like the night
Right,
before.
or even cut 2 or 3, all
2,
week,
3,
through
you
the
can
week.
pack all week. It's
Pack
really
all.
just your veggies and your meat you have to worry about. And we really did a good job this week. I took a lot of pride in this. Is they got everybody got hot dogs and baked beans and a ham steak
Wow.
and noodles to make stroganoff. So like there was a lot of thought that I've gotten to the point now where I can put a lot of thought into what I'm ordering so that we can make meals and make it last. So it's really good. So I have that to talk about. And then I guess I'm into my manager's report is we are still open by appointment. We are still pushing for please go use rapid renewal. We are currently fighting with the BMV. They keep sending out things that they don't want to do that they are considering non-essential services.
Okay.
And so I've been very vocal back at them. And poor Chuck Hydak, he is wonderful because he puts up with me. But every time somebody at the top sends something down to us about renewing vanity plates that are expired over a year, that they don't consider essential, they're sending back to us. And honestly, with Rose doing everything by appointment, we do not have the time to do those things either. So, we're handling the essential things. We've been essential for 3 months. And so I'm pushing back a little bit on that stuff because,
Yeah, you have every right to do so, because when we made the cuts that we did, we assumed that DMV would be up and running, and they said they would be.
right.
And they're not.
And, and we keep getting these memos like as an afterthought. And I put in an email today, I don't want to sound like the irate town manager, but I'm going to defend my people, is that we've been very good about getting things done. And I got to tell you, Rose could probably go to Rockland and run the place. She really could. She's been amazing. And what's frustrating is to get something that says, well, you have to do this now, and then you have to wait for us to call you back. Well, if we're doing appointments every 15 minutes, we don't have that luxury of, making people wait till they decide to call us back. So that's some of the growing pains we're having. Other than that, I think the appointment, although people may not like calling and having to make an appointment, they appreciate it after they leave because they have been in and out in 15 minutes and done. And I think that's working really well for people. And that may be the wave of the future. I was talking to many different town managers about opening and stories of horrors of opening and not. I think we've had a good opening. So I'm anticipating, keeping forward like this. And use rapid renewal. Use your online vote registration. Do as much as you can online and through our Dropbox. You don't have to come in you don't have to make an appointment to pay your taxes. You can use the Dropbox or the mail. So that's where we're at.
Thank you very much. Thanks for all you do.
We're trying.
A lot of the Shellfish guys were happy that they could get an application at the door.
They are so
without
excited about
having
that.
to make an appointment, come in, or do anything.
They
Got it,
are.
yeah.
They are, but they want to make sure that when everything happens, when they actually have to have their application in, that they'll be able to come in, especially if, I guess they're fearful that their licenses will be I guess there's a drawing at times that has to happen. if
It all
you have too many.
depends, Class D will be a drawing.
Yeah,
If there is any.
yeah,
We won't know that till
right.
the end of this month.
But it's interesting because, you know, they have all these questions, and Tanya's been, I gotta tell you, Johnny on the spot, she has been there answering all the Shellfish questions and calling Abden and make sure she's got it right, and she's just stepped up. She's been phenomenal.
She's learning.
She's learning. Hey, it's an education.
Crash course.
It's a crash course in shellfishing.
And speaking of shellfishing, a big thank you goes out to Justin and the Shellfish Committee for the way they've worked to clean up the river and the streets in town.
Yep.
Jan was out there Saturday morning manning the table. There were other volunteers who were out there helping to pick up things along the sides of the road. We got, what, two more?
Two more
days?
events. Yep.
So keep your eyes. and
June
ears
20th
open.
and July 11th, I think.
July 11th, the next one?
Is that what you-
And I forgot to tell you,
June 20th and July 11th.
I put it in my written report. We got a Coastal Communities grant.
Oh, wow.
We got a Coastal Communities
It's
grant
the one from FB Environmental. Is that the one?
with FB Environmental we're going to take account and look at all of the septic systems along the Madama.
Fantastic.
I know this had been done about 20 some odd years ago, but
Quite a while ago.
that's time now to look at it again. So
Yeah,
we did,
absolutely.
we
Good.
received a grant for that, so.
Is it 22,500?
Yes, it was $22,500. So Maggie and I wrote that. It wasn't a Max grant. I gotta keep up with Max, the youngin' over there, because, you know, he's just writing all these grants.
Anything
Falling
else?
behind.
We
I'm
all
good.
set? Thank you, Julie.
Sorry, I babbled.
No, that was good, helpful
Good
information.
babbling.
And you'd be surprised at how much can still go on in town and everything's still supposed to be shut down. Continues to move forward. Consent calendar. Is there a motion? Katie, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? That's 5-0, including Clint. Thank you. New business, approval of paving bids.
Good thing I already read it.
So, we're paving Dutch Neck, Gross Neck, Chapel Road. I have the list in front of me here, just a second.
In there.
Yeah, I got.
Can you keep going?
All I've got, I haven't got the list. I just got the grant, the bids.
And also Dutch Neck, a portion of Dutch Neck Landing, yes, just the beginning part, and Pine Street Landing should be also in there. And it's gonna be split in two. So there'll be two different times where he's gonna have paving done. So one more in the summer and then one more in the fall.
With the amount of money that he's got out here, is that for 10 miles of paving? It is, okay. Because I know 350,000 covers 5 miles, that's what we allocate every year, and I just
Right,
see
but
it
we
as just over
have, we're
700,000.
using everything we have.
Okay,
And,
I was just
and,
making sure it was the 10. the
and
10 miles.
again, this will, and right now I'm working with the First and several other banks and talking to our bond counsel about how we should proceed with any future funding and also to potentially borrowing for the road versus so that way we have that cushion and we're not gonna have to use a TAN. So all of those things are still going on. And I will hope to, at the next meeting, have a presentation for you guys on that.
So Dutch Neck is on the list.
Dutch Neck is on the list.
Okay, good to say that loud and clear.
Dutch Neck is on the list.
Gross Neck and
In-
Pine Street, are those are the three that's.
Chapel,
Where? What?
Chapel Road.
Chapel Road.
Chapel.
I can give you the complete list in an email, I'm sorry. I thought it
We
was
have Dutch Neck, Gross Neck, Gila Lane or Gila Lane, Chapel Road, Castner Road, Simon Road, Noyes Road, Marine Park, and Pine Street Landing.
Yep.
We get quite a bit of,
That's a lot.
Yeah,
Well, we haven't paved in a while.
Yep,
2 years.
okay.
and we got, what, 4 bids back?
Correct. And it's Hager is
Hager
the
was the low
lowest.
one at 707,346.
How come Crooked didn't put in for it?
Wiscasset summer traffic.
Oh, okay.
That's quite a difference, isn't it? I mean, these are all sort of within, but,
That's what I was told by somebody sitting here, was that it's, you know, it's difficult to sometimes.
Hey, Hager's a low bidder.
Yes, Hagar, yep.
Yeah, he done 220.
So he was gonna split this into 2,
Yes,
all with Hager though?
yes,
Projects with Hager, okay.
yes,
And Hager knows this?
yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
The contract to Hager Enterprises for $707,346.
he made the motion, I seconded it.
Oh, you're way ahead of me. Thank you. We're ready to vote. All in favor?
All right.
Thank you.
Just quickly before going to the next topic, is there a Meet the Candidates event for the select board seats coming up?
Oh, June 16th at 6 o'clock here. It's a virtual one though. The 4 candidates and J.W. Oliver from the
Lincoln County.
Lincoln County News will be the moderator. But we are asking that people send in their questions. It's on our website, it's been on our Facebook page, and it was in the Lincoln County News.
All right,
Thank you, Max, for reminding me.
that was Ruben.
Oh.
Good. All right, we can move on to old business and the Volkswagen grant update and approval of the bid.
Oh,
So that's,
okay, yep.
you can, sure, you can do it.
All right, so back in January, we received a grant from the state Volkswagen Settlement Fund to purchase a new dump truck to replace our 1999 Sterling from the Public Works garage. And in May, we were told we could go out and get the truck. And we did a 2-3 week bid process where we sent one to, I believe it was like Portland North Truck Center, Daigle and Houghton and Bangor, and then White and Ford. And we received 4 bids back, 3 of them coming from Daigle and Houghton and 1 coming from the Portland Center. And after reviewing them, John Daigle suggested taking the one from Portland North, which was for $168,000. I can't remember the exact number.
$840.
$840. I asked Lynn Kading from DEP if that was all right, because that goes over the 167 we thought it would be, and she said that's fine, but we would have to pay that difference. So I asked John, he said he's fine paying that extra roughly $2,000. And just so people are clear, this was done from a grant that was applied for back in January before all this happened. And the money that John is going to use to pay for it, for our local match, is coming from the current fiscal year's
Capital plan.
capital, yes. Just so people are aware of that. So tonight is just to see if you guys are fine with that, and
So we haven't officially, I thought we received that truck already, so we have not.
No,
Okay, okay,
no, the other truck, we got the other truck,
okay,
but this is the one we're getting with the grant.
okay, I got you.
Okay, so the motion is for $168,840
that's a suggestion.
from Portland North. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Let me check those.
The nice thing is, and I just have to say, is that we were able to do this because of the grant.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have put us further in. So this really does move up his replacement schedule quite nicely.
What was that total again?
$168,840 and awarding it to Portland North.
And the grant is paying for $116,900.
It's a good deal. Yeah, it is,
That's a
actually.
nice bit of help.
Yeah,
So it's actually only gonna cost us like 52,000.
correct. For a $170,000 truck.
And we had that money already set aside anyways.
We
correct?
had, yeah.
Yep. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you, Clint.
Yep.
And then the last old business item is an update on charges for construction demolition debris. This is something that John is asking for. We put it by the Transfer Station Management Committee. Two of us are voting in favor. One of us hasn't voted yet because we haven't actually met. We've been communicating via email. The situation is that we've had to close the landfill. We have to make arrangements to transport all of our construction demolition debris away from our transfer station to a landfill. And John had been looking around for somebody to take the debris, and it was really expensive. It's like, he was quoting $110 a ton to move this stuff. Sorry, to tip the stuff, not to move it, to tip it. So the MRC has been helping us, and they put us onto Waste Management. And we have a contract with Waste Management, which we've approved for $69.50 a ton. So the other piece of that is to allow John to increase the rate for taking the construction demolition debris from 6 cents to 9 cents a pound. And the management board has done that. So this is basically for your information. And I think he'll implement that on July 1st.
July 1st.
Of this year. And I guess the guys really like it because they won't have to separate the CDC. It'll all just go into one big bucket, and they'll truck it off to the landfill. So it's
Do you have to have that other vote before we move on this, or?
No, because it would be 2 to 3.
Okay,
We have a majority already.
approval is there, yeah.
okay.
That's all I had. Agenda items for the next meeting, which is June 23rd. I know something will come up.
Something always does.
We don't have any.
I'm hoping that we'll have our audit then, and we can maybe have a Zoom meet with the, with the auditor.
That would be great.
Yes, they're diligently working on it, finishing it out.
Okay. So I guess unless there's something else,
I got nothing.
I think we're good to go. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?